Okay, let's talk about dedication because there's a lot of just crybabies out there who think they're entitled, and they're not. Um, there's things you gotta do for your situation, okay? If you only have a couple $100 in the bank, you shouldn't be going out to eat. If you have $10,000 in debt, minus like a house, minus something like that, can do that. But like if you have like 10 grand and like whatever the heck it's called, Klarna or whatever, you don't need to be going on no cruise. It's all about dedication. So like if you got like a 20% credit card deal, for every 100 you spend, you need to pay them back 120 every month. And then that multiplies every month until it's paid off. If you put in your groceries on the credit card, that's an extra $20 you're giving away. Let's flip that. So if you can take that $20 times a week, that's $100 in the black versus in the red. That adds up. If you don't go out to eat and spend $20 eating, let's say 3 times a week, okay, $60. That $60, good chance, can pay for food at the grocery store. Somebody's going to tell me you can't make $60 in groceries these days. Trust me, you can. You're buying the wrong stuff. You're buying the wrong stuff. You don't need to be buying cookies and junk food and all that. You don't need that stuff. Those are weak items. Those are, I want it, so I'm going to buy it. It's not a, I need it. You want to save money. You need to cut out the I wanted items and move into the I needed items. What do you need? Where can you cut this to save that? Do I got to buy the brand when I can buy the store brand at a quarter of the price? Maybe I'm shopping at the wrong stores. What am I doing at this store when I can go down the street and get, yes, a lesser quality item for a better price? It's all about dedication, okay? I know there's going to be some crybabies that are going to say, give me an excuse. Give me an excuse, okay? You got 6 kids, okay? Let's say you got 6 kids. How are you going to feed those 6 kids? Well, you're going to get creative and figure out how to feed those 6 kids. You're going to buy the bag of rice, the 2-pound bag of rice, maybe a little bit of brown sugar, and you're going to feed the kids out the brown sugar and rice. You're going to buy the bulk items. You're not buying McDonald's. You're not. You need to figure out how to be dedicated in that. And you sure as hell ain't using a credit card. Because like I'm saying, I give you that example. Now, life happens. If you got to do that, you got to do that. Okay? So, let's say you screwed up, like a lot of people have. How do you fix that? Well, dedication. If you got that debt, you got to figure out how I can adjust. You need to mentally adjust to figure out how to get out of that. And a lot of people right now, they're getting hit with 3 or 4 different, they're getting hit with the car loan they shouldn't have got, that they can't even give the car back. They got the student loans that they're getting screwed on that because they didn't think when they did that. A couple people have houses that are now upside down because they didn't think when they did that. How do you fix that? Well, you tighten up. You need to tighten up. And if I'm going to get the people saying, well, I can't do this and this, there's so many different opportunities out there today. I know people are going to say, oh, I can't get a job. There's opportunities. You're looking at the wrong places. You need to lower your standards. You're not going to be making $100,000. Ain't nobody going to pay you $100,000 when they can find somebody else for 50. Okay? So like, you need to figure out different ways to get that money and suffer for 10 years, maybe 5 even. Let's say 5. You suffer for 5 years. Write out a plan. Okay? What do I got to do this, to do this, to do this? Stick to that plan. Make a money plan and figure it out. If I save $20 a week, let's make it 25 to make the math nice and easy. Save $25 a week. 4 weeks in a month, let's just go with that. That's $100 you saved. Okay? That's $100 you can put towards paying off debt. Now, if you got stupid high interest, it's going to still hurt. But it is what it is. Maybe you got to go higher. You got to figure it out. And if you got to work a second job, and if you got to do something else, maybe you got to get creative. Maybe you got to get on Whatnot or whatever and start selling stuff. Maybe you got to start a business. I'm going to talk about that tomorrow, all the benefits that come from starting a business. And maybe you got to just grit it and stop crying. It's not anybody's fault, with very few exceptions. Let's go 99% of the people that have gotten a bad situation, it's their fault. There isn't anybody predating you. Nobody forced your hand. Generally, there's going to be somebody. Nobody forced your hand. Okay? Simple as that. So, like, you got to figure it out. Because it's stuff that a lot of people have screwed up. So, there you go. Today's a little more of a rant than anything. But really not just crying about stuff. Just write out what you got to do. It's easy to write it out. Write out what you got to do. And if you got to do something, maybe you got to switch careers, maybe you got to make more money somewhere else, do it. But start out by writing it out, because it's easy to write stuff out. It's easy to make a plan. The hard part is executing that plan. Dedicating and executing and not being weak in that plan. Thank y'all.